who was there, as we watched that sort of back and forth between the media and the president there, as he continued to defend his statement that he made originally there on Saturday regarding Charlottesville. Rick.
And Trish, that response from the president was to my question about whether race relations were better or worse in America since he's taken office. This was an extraordinary press conference. We were told that the president might not even take questions, that he came down to talk about an executive order that he had signed on infrastructure, and then he very quickly escalated into a discussion about what he said about Charlottesville on Saturday and his follow-up comments on Monday, and whether he went far enough on Saturday and whether he went far enough on Monday. The president stuck by his statements, as you heard. He said there was blame on both sides, but what happened in Charlottesville was a horrible moment for our country. The president said that the driver is a disgrace. You can call it terrorism. You can certainly call it murder, but what he did was a horrible, horrible thing, and he condemned the words and actions of the neo-Nazis and white supremacists on the ground, but he also condemned what he called the alt-left for confronting them and creating some of the violent confrontations that we have seen over and over again on video since Saturday's demonstration, Trish.
All right, Rick, you know, he was making the point as well that both sides were to blame, and this is something that has obviously infuriated some people. Dr. Alveda King, niece of Martin Luther King Jr. and daughter of A.D. King, joins me right now with her thoughts on it. I assume you heard the president's comments there. Your reaction, Alveda?
Trish, it's very important to talk about this right now. Don't forget the infrastructure. That's important too. The president is right about that. He signed that executive order. However, people are just up at arms and they want answers, and the president took a long time explaining the exact state of affairs. I did hear him talk about the alt-right and the alt-left. Now, the alt-right with Ku Klux Klan and doing all of that, but the alt-left with Black Lives Matter, for instance, with firebombs and cursing people out and inciting riots, you have that kind of agitation between groups and you begin to get confusion. So what the president has done is to step in with what we call the 6 steps of the King family legacy nonviolent conflict resolution. So you get your facts, you educate your public, you examine your own heart, you negotiate for peace, then you peacefully protest. You get your permits and everything and protest peacefully, and then you're seeking a win-win situation with nonviolent reconciliation.
So you didn't
So the
have
president got his facts, and then he made his next statement. So he condemned all violence, ceasefire, and then he continued to make statements. So if you have opposing sides that are using profanity, violence, and threats, you're going to have chaos.
I hear you. I think the problem, as far as members of the media had seen it, was that a lot of those facts had been out there. So, you know, maybe he wasn't as aware of them, or for whatever reason.
It had nothing to do with him not being aware. He had to assess the whole thing, look at all of the threat, call ceasefire, stop all of the violence, and let's come together. That's exactly what he did. He condemned the violence. He condemned the hatred. He has called racism evil. Racism is evil. President Trump says all of us have the same color blood, no matter what color our skin is. He says, let's solve our problems by giving everybody dignity, jobs, opportunity to take care of themselves spiritually, socially, and physically. He's doing that. And so to ask him to take sides and condemn one group and not serve all of America, that's never going to work.
Okay. Let me ask you about that. The key to race relations being the economy, being jobs. Do you agree with that philosophy? I mean, is one of the reasons we're in the state we're in because various groups feel disenfranchised and they don't have an economic future?
Acts 17:26 says, of one blood God made all people to live together on the face of the earth. My uncle Martin Luther King Jr., my daddy's brother Reverend A.D. King, my granddaddy Daddy King taught that during all of their ministries. And so what you have to do is to recognize the ethnicities, the dignity and respect that is due there, but encourage people to get along. My uncle said, I've decided to deal with love because hate is too difficult a burden to bear. We must learn to live together as brothers and sisters or perish as fools. So one blood, one human community here in America, we must learn to get along. And the president said, cease fire. Let's reason this thing out. Let's not have all of this fighting and killing and all of the evil violence of racism. Racism's a lie anyway. That's real fake news that we're separate races. We are one human race with different colors of skin and hair and all that kind of thing. But we're one race. Put America to work, and you'll see that people won't fight as much.
You know, you wonder, Dr. King, is it in part because of all that's happened within our political system, in that we have seen so much redistricting, gerrymandering of these various districts throughout the country that have contributed in some ways to this racial discord, because you're not in a situation where everybody has the same common interest as trying to get along, but rather you're seeing these racial divides that are very political in purpose.
And it is driven politically. It puts a wedge between us, showing us our differences. We've got to see our commonalities. Everybody needs to work. Everyone needs to be safe. Everyone needs spiritual and social and physical opportunities to be the best that they can be. That is what the president is saying. And if you look at his infrastructure package, I'm sure you're going to see some of that there too. So he was right to call a ceasefire immediately. Stop the violence. Let's reason together. That's even in the Bible too. I think God said to the people, come and let us reason together. You cannot reason if you're bombing each other, screaming and cursing each other out.
With that in mind, you know, we saw 4 CEOs come right off his council, from his manufacturing council, and they were so angry about his lack of response, what they saw as a lack of response in Charlottesville.
4 left and 20 remained. Okay, 4 left, 20 remained. And some more will come, and he will continue to work to build America. The president will. So 4 left, 20 stayed. The number who stayed is much bigger than the number that left. True. Remember that one.
But true, were the CEOs wrong to leave?
I can't say they were wrong. I have to examine why they left, why they thought it was best to leave. And so this is America. People have to have opportunities to do what they believe is right. We still have that privilege. But there are 20 who stayed. I think the number that stayed is maybe more important than the number that left.
Well, it's very good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here, Dr. Alveda King.